throughout your guys' career, you've been very accessible. That's a good word, because you've really reached out well beyond the four walls of the church and have, connected with a wide variety of people. Is that sort of an intentional mission for you guys, just to reach out broadly?
I remember early on in the conversation of starting a band, picking a name, and deciding to do this thing. We wanted to do something that was, genuine and that could connect to a broader audience and a larger conversation than just just the Christian circles we'd grown up in. I think that's safe to say.
I think we're stimulated more writing for humans than writing for just Christians in the church. You know what I mean? That we're more interested in the bigger conversation, which includes faith and social activism and culture. But it keeps us in the conversation to not feel like you guys can write about these things over here, but not these things over here.
Yeah,
that sort of turns us off.
Yeah. One of the songs maybe you could talk about that is, I think, accessible to that wide group is the song "Forgive Me."
Oh yeah.
Sure. I mean, it is just that's a song about what it is. It's asking that question, in light of a hard situation. What is a real apology look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like to genuinely ask for forgiveness for something that you do, and own the thing that you did, not sort of deflect it or find excuses or blame other things. To kind of sit in it, and that was part of that song. Was really just, okay, how do we really kind of say this is what an apology is, and do it in a way that's also kind of fun. And so that song.
Midway through the record, we realized we had written, Dan specifically with most of the lyrics, had written a pretty intimate, raw, lyrically at least, but then the sound of the songs was this big kind of soundscape anthemic thing, so it was like, it was just interesting to reflect on what the songs were saying and then how they would hit you.
Very personal in a muse that's kind of, I don't know, it reaches beyond the intimacy of the lyric in a way that I think there was a way in doing that we wanted to make it a little bit easier to hear, because some of what's written is really intense and really hard, and from very honest and genuine places. But to just do that with an acoustic guitar might be a little bit
Keep people just spiral.
Like just a bit Nebraska or something. Where it's just like, I don't know, I can handle any more of this. So that was fun. But back to what you were saying, I think we feel like the human story is compelling enough, and the best stories are true stories, and for us, what that looks like, where real forgiveness comes from, that's the space from which we write. But I think we feel like it's not good form for us to just hand people an epiphany in a song and say, here's what you should think about when this happens. More let the listener kind of, absorb it and consider for themselves.
Definitely almost a conversation starter.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs that I think of the Good Monsters record and stuff, and a lot of the music it does that. It just kind of starts the conversation in people's hearts, I'm sure.
It's an active one that we're in.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It is just an extension of us going. This is the conversation we're having, and so if any of the songs ever come across as like, here's the answer to this, or the epiphany or revelation, then it usually is not quite honestly where we are.
Yeah, we're lying or something.
So, and what's interesting about the Long Fall record specifically is that there's a way you sequence a record, so songs that lineup after other songs, and everything kind of has a certain continuity but also variation. And you sequence a record one way to listen back, to have that kind of variance. There is another way to sequence this record because, not terribly intentionally, but what it just kind of happened is that there are a batch of probably 7 or 8 of those songs that can be arranged in an order of kind of starting from breaking a covenant, or breaking a relationship, to reconciling a relationship and the different phases that a relationship goes through to heal it, to be healed. Just in the context of the lyrics, like each song represents a different part of that process, and it's not sequenced in that order right now, but there's a way to sequence the record that does that. And,
So we're expecting a deluxe edition.
Yeah,
of
with
the
it's the counselor's edition.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we'll sell about 18 of them.
Yeah, the DSM-4.
Yeah.
One last quick question, then we can move on. What inspires you guys? We're artists, authors. What are the things that really inspire you?
Artists and authors, and the relationships with people around us are, I know it feels a little cliche to say it's the people, but
It's the people.
It's the stories. I mean, right now we're in the middle of a project where the core of it is, okay, you've got all this lofty language that talks about who Jesus is and what he does, and there's been this kind of disconnect of connecting and saying, okay, but actually, like, it's like mercy and grace, the embodiment of those things is through the relationships that we have. It's these people offer these things to other people. It's not just this lofty thing. There's a guttural kind of base where this all happens at the human level. And so we've been writing about this now for some time, and so yeah, people really are they're a worthy landscape to walk and wander, because there's so many stories that are worth telling.
Yeah.
Some of our experiences in Africa too certainly inspire us to write about the people we meet and the stories that we see over there.